Hey, what's up to everybody out there? Welcome to another edition of the Roundtable Talk. Now I'm your host, C Money. Earlier I was doing the video, but it got deleted off of my device. I was doing a part one, and I was at Pemberton Place, and I was showing you the world of Coca-Cola and the Civil and Human Rights Museum, and also Georgia Aquarium in downtown Atlanta. But it somehow it got deleted off my device and I couldn't do it. So now this was supposed to be part two, but this is part one. I took a streetcar and I'm now here at Jackson Street, which is the King Historic District. This is the new Ebenezer Baptist Church right here, where churches are held. This is the old Ebenezer Baptist Church where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. grew up in, the church he grew up in, and also he was ministered in. Apparently this is, in the afternoon, so the church is now, I believe, closed for, because the tours are maybe over, but I'm gonna walk down this way. As I go down this way, also, we're gonna stop by the historical gravesite of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King. We're gonna go over here to a quick area. We're gonna take a quick break. Here we are. We're here at the King's Memorial Site, no coins, no water in the reflection pool. This is where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and also his wife Coretta Scott King was laid to rest. Beautiful sight. As it say, free at last, thank God Almighty, free at last. And now by faith, hope, love, these three, but the greatest of these is love. This is a fire that burns over here. We're gonna walk. This building right here, we're not gonna go in. It's called Information Building, which is also basically the King Center. The King Center, which is also is ran by, I believe, it was created by Coretta, but it is ran, I believe, by his daughter. I had to do more research. I went in here back in 2019, and they do have a room that's dedicated. There's two rooms. There's a room, well, there might be more, but there's two rooms that I know of. There's a room that's dedicated to Rosa Parks, and there's also a room that's dedicated to Mahatma Gandhi, which was Dr. King's mentor that he looked up to, Mahatma Gandhi. I'm going to take a quick, I was going to take a quick break as we walk through, because throughout the video I'm going to be walking, so I didn't want to have the video go a long walks, but I'm going to walk a little bit. Right over here is a fire station. As you can see across the street is an old fire station. So I'm going to show you the fire station. We're coming up. These are houses that was built back in, of course, the 60s, the 50s, the 60s, and of course the 70s. So these houses, they're basically historical. This is the historical Auburn Avenue, which is also the same avenue on where his house resides. As I mentioned in my video yesterday, there is a highway near somewhere down the area where Dr. King and Coretta lived, but the house was torn down and was never any historical landmark signage that was there. These houses are private residencies, meaning that people, I believe, have bought these houses, because it was the same thing when I visited before, and I think it was private residencies. So, and I'm quite sure they're a lot of money to live in, because these houses was built in the 60s and 70s. So I can only imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now coming up to, this is the bookstore where you can go purchase things and stuff like that. But this is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. house. Please do not lean or sit on the rails. As I told you before, you was only allowed to go in during the daytime, and you had to go and request to go inside. Even if I did, I wasn't going to record because I'm quite sure you're prohibited to record. This is the back. This is the house of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, where he was born and lived. I believe the swing is set to be high, so nobody won't sit on the swing. This is the backyard of Dr. King's house. Like I said, these houses over here are basically, and this is probably the a wheelchair accessible entrance for people because the sign is right there. This is the backyard. A lot of these houses are bought, and they're like $1 million houses now because they're historical. And a lot of these houses has been bought due to the fact that it is Dr. King's house. So this is something interesting. We are in the King's Historical District, meaning it is a historical district because you see these houses here, it was built in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and the 70s. And so for that matter, a lot of people bought out these buildings because they want to preserve the buildings and they want to keep the preservation of the buildings. And like it says on these buildings, it says private residencies, which majority of the people live in. But you can imagine that these buildings, if you was to sell them, that they would to come up to a lot of money to buy these buildings. And a lot of these buildings are probably historical museums. Like the building that I showed you next to the King Center, to the King's house is a bookstore. I've been inside the bookstore because when I last went in 2019, I purchased a tote bag for my mom in the bookstore. I also visited inside of Ebenezer Baptist Church where I bought a DVD for my mom, and I did a couple of videos which is on my device and everything. So, but I didn't do a video in 2019. Earlier I did a video at Pemberton Park, but the video got deleted so far while I was uploading because it was taking long to upload, and then it got deleted. So I said, oh no. So this is the Martin Luther King area. I'm giving you an outlook of Dr. King, the house, and everything of the nature, and all of the houses that housed around it. And these houses, like I said, was bought out by people, and they are under surveillance. A lot of these houses are under surveillance because these are historical houses. Some of them may not be as much historical as Dr. King's house, but they are historical, Yeah, it does say access in the back for wheelchair people. So that's perfect. So this is it. This is King's Historical District. I rode the streetcar over here from the Olympic Centennial Park. I rode the streetcar. So I'm going to be riding the streetcar back to maybe Peachtree Center, where I'll be taking the train back to my area in East Point. And this is a historical site to love. This is the King's house right here, Martin Luther King. As you can see, they have the blinds up. I'm quite sure if you go in, you can't touch nothing. You can't do anything in the thing. So, but this is historical. And I just wanted to come here, even though back in 2019, I visited, there is a lot. Private property, keep off, no trespassing. That's what it says there, of course. The King Center and everything is also further down, and further down this street, and then to your right, because that's where you have to see. This is where the bookstore is at, where you can purchase like books and things like that in the bookstore, you know, because they use the house for that. And down there is the King Center. The King Center is not just the King Center. I think it's the um it's a everything business where they have, it's like a museum, but it also is where you can register to go inside the King's house. And when I tried to register, they was like, oh no, you can't go. We go see the U.S. Park Ranger. They ride through here because this house is considered a National Historical Site, and it's under the U.S. National, is one of the U.S. National Historical Sites. So the U.S. Park Rangers have to come around because this is considered like a park, you know, where people can go and, you know, check. So this is, the rangers have to come around and make sure that nobody's not doing anything to the side, or nobody's not defacing the house, or, you know, doing anything out of the ordinary. So, you know, basically it is in the evening time, so you're not going to get a lot of visitors now because a lot of the people have disintegrated to their other locations. This is the King's Historical District. This is the Round Table Talk. I am your host, C Money. I'm going to try to do another video, and hopefully it doesn't get destroyed. This is the birthplace of Dr. King. They have it right here where you can see all the information, and they have pictures of inside the home if you can't go inside of the home as well. And this is lovely. This is something that people need to be seeing. Like, this is something historical. If you've never been to Atlanta, that's why I say Atlanta is one of the most historical sites out here, because it is where Dr. King was born. It is where a lot of our founding, you know, civil rights people, and also Jimmy Carter, the president, you know, a lot of people that have resulted in coming here to Dr. King. I mean, not only for Dr. King, but Atlanta. And this is the King Historical District. You know, there's a lot of, you know, and this is Auburn Avenue, or Auburn Street. Let me see. Auburn. Yeah, Auburn Avenue. So this is the Round Table Talk. I am your host, C Money. I have to hurry up and go back to my area because I need to find something to eat, and I need to get ready because I'm going out later on with my friends. And this is the Round Table Talk, and I will see you in the next video. Stay safe.